This peer-to-peer platform is growing like crazy. Since I first joined in April, visited the site and filmed an interview, Launch has more than tripled in size. And that's with a 14.5% interest rate for investors. Today, in this update, I want to show you the latest developments, explain how profits have evolved, and discuss whether it might be worth getting in now. With that, welcome to Northern Finance. My name is Alex Black.
Hi, my name is Alex from Northern Finance. This video was translated with the help of AI so that we can reach more people in their own language. A native speaker has reviewed the translation. Still, some sentences might sound a little unusual. Thanks for being here and enjoy the video now.
Yes, great to have you tuning in again today. And when I saw these numbers, I was really surprised. As you can see, in April of this year, when I started investing and introduced the whole thing, Launch was financed with 1.76 million euros in a single month by 5,800 investors. And just 5 months later, in September, these numbers had risen to 5.39 million euros in financed loans with 11,160 investors. That's a tripling of monthly investments and almost a doubling of active investors overall. And let me repeat again, this happened in just a period of 5 months. But what exactly is Launch? Launch is an innovative platform where the only two lenders, Amana and Tambadana respectively, both part of the Singular Group, obtain their financing. Here we have the website of Tambadana. This is the larger lender, which is where potential borrowers ultimately end up. For example, if you happen to see this advertisement on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok and now want to apply for a loan, perhaps to renovate your kitchen, just as shown in this example by the young woman, then this is the process you would follow. Or if you are interested in booking a vacation with friends, even if you are currently short on cash, then this is an offer specifically for people in that situation. So on the website, you can borrow the equivalent of 50 up to 2,000 euros. However, the 2,000 euros are only granted after several loans have been repaid, not right from the start. If we look at the lenders, the first one we see is Amana from Indonesia, which has already issued around 13.5 million euros in loans to consumers, earning you as an investor a return of 13.2%. And Tambadana from Malaysia, whom, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I have already visited in person in Kuala Lumpur, where I also had a longer interview with the CEO. I was in Thailand, and it was a good opportunity to stop by and gain some first-hand experience instead of just relying on information from the internet and clicking around. Here, 119 million euros in loans have already been financed, which is significantly more than with the other lender. And investors even get a bit more interest here, 13.8%. Both also offer a buyback guarantee if payments are overdue by 30 days. And I find it especially important that there are numerous reports, including very up-to-date management reports that are published regularly, as well as audited annual financial statements. That really is a very good thing and also very important since there isn't much history yet. We'll take a closer look at that in a moment as well. But first, let's take a look at my account. Here you can see that I've invested 2,300 euros and have made just under 100 euros in profit so far. There's also a loyalty program for higher returns, which starts at an investment of 5,000 euros. And then, with each tier, you get a bit more interest. There's also an auto-invest feature that's relatively easy to set up, which we already showed in the first test. I've linked that for you as well, and of course it's in the video description below. But what really matters is coming up now. Let's take a look at my investments. At times, we were still getting a nice 16% interest rate this summer. There was a promotion then with a bit more interest. Of course, I had to jump on that and increase my investment a bit. And after that, I bought loans at the regular interest rate of 14.5%, which also run for half a year. Pretty attractive, especially since many competitors have lowered their interest rates recently. So there were slightly higher interest rates during the bonus promotion, and now the rates are being kept stable. And for a 30-day term, there is 13.6% interest, which is also attractive. And as we can see, I only invest in Tambadana loans, since that's also the lender that is already operating profitably and whose audited annual financial statement for last year was just recently published. They made a profit of 2.1 million ringgit there, which corresponds to 447,000 euros. Since then, however, Tambadana has grown tremendously, and now they make last year's annual profit in less than 2 weeks. Here we see the management report up to the end of August this year, and as you can see in the first row, in January 27,000 loans were issued, which has now more than doubled to 56,000 loans in a single month. The entire loan portfolio has grown even more significantly, from 6 million to 16.5 million US dollars. and the loan portfolio is now at $20.6 million instead of $6.8 million. Tambadana now earns approximately $1.2 million in EBIT per month, that is, earnings before interest and taxes, and has very strong, consistent double-digit margins on both revenue and gross profit. Such profitable growth is really quite rare, one has to say. But now, Tambadana needs to carefully keep its costs under control because typically fixed costs per loan should gradually decrease as the loan volume increases. However, it is also important to note that other operating expenses have in fact more than doubled in recent months, and the EBIT margin is currently at 6% instead of 8 to 10% as it was in the first quarter of the year. So the margin is a bit weaker than before. As an investor, you should keep an eye on this development. But overall, the growth is really strong and still profitable. That also needs to be acknowledged, even though more details about the defaulted loans would be desirable, as well as information on how successful or not the recovery of these defaulted loans is going. The bigger you get, the more important this becomes. Furthermore, the license for lending has now been extended until the end of next year, and the annual financial statement has also been published on the blog. Launch and Tambadana both remain high-risk investments. I think the returns speak for themselves. But with strong profits, as we can clearly see, such interest rates can also be paid very effectively and efficiently. That also needs to be stated as it is. How sustainable such strong profits will be in the long run remains to be seen. But I am still invested with a portion of my peer-to-peer portfolio, and I feel comfortable with that. And that's exactly what matters. You have to feel comfortable with your investment. And I recommend, if this all sounds a bit interesting to you, that you also watch the interview with the CEO that I conducted on site. I really asked a lot of critical questions here, and he also answered my questions very directly, for example, regarding the topic of loan defaults. Take a loan and not paying it back?
Yeah, that would be for sure. I mean, in this line of business, that always happens. But we will still be able to find them to a certain extent. So the other things that we do is that we'll put them onto the local Malaysian credit bureau. And across time, when these defaulters would need another loan from another provider, they would have to clear our loan first. So it's a long game, but seeing that our non-performing loans are pretty low, so it's still very much manageable at the current point in time. And in fact, our recovery rate for this group of people is about 3% a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Refreshing, honest, and open, in my opinion. I find that very important when I invest. And if you also want to invest, you can get an extra 1% bonus on your investment with the link below in the video description, which you do not get with the regular sign up. And a good new feature is that there is now two-factor authentication, not just via email as before, but also with Google Authenticator. This significantly increases the security of your account and prevents a hacker from emptying your entire account if they crack your password. And I use Google Authenticator on every platform that offers it. It's a good security feature and now also available at launch. Okay, let's draw a conclusion and address the question of whether it might be worthwhile to invest in Launch now. Launch offers 13.6 to 14.5% interest for loans running from 30 to 180 days, which puts it at the higher end when it comes to interest rates on P2P lending platforms. Consumer loans are popular among investors. That's just the way it is. And thanks to the quick publication of figures through management reports and the audited financial statements for last year, active trust is being built in this still young platform. I hope that this continues in the same way. Can it be worthwhile to invest in Launch now? My answer is yes, because even though the risks mentioned earlier certainly exist, we are seeing not only rapid but also profitable growth, which has continued up to today. And I personally have never seen such strong growth among lenders in Europe that is also so profitable at the same time. But in Asia, that's actually feasible. It's a bit different there, also due to the high economic growth rates they have. Investors also don't have to commit for a particularly long time, which is also very positive. With loans that have a 1-month term, you can easily try it out for yourself to see if it suits you or not. And if you want, you can invest for up to half a year if you prefer, but not longer. I think these timeframes are just right. I wouldn't want to invest for several years in these lenders that haven't yet proven themselves over the long term. That would simply be a bit too long given the risk, especially since there isn't a secondary market at launch yet. But investing for 1 to 6 months is definitely okay for me. And as I said, the link to Launch is down in the video description, once again with an extra bonus that you won't get anywhere else. And I'll just let the interest keep working for me and keep an eye on how things develop. And who knows, maybe I'll stop by Malaysia again in the winter to shoot an update. What's your opinion on launch? Let me know in the comments below. I'm looking forward to the exchange, and with that, I wish you good returns and see you next time.